Hello and welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Today I'm very grateful, very humble to be joined by a former fellow Self Sabotage Coach, Matty Denz. Matty Denz is more than a Self Sabotage coach. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Is that right? Brazilian
That is
Jiu-Jitsu?
correct.
Yeah, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got many hats. He's a truth teller, truth seeker. His content's awesome. He did a really awesome reel today about the was it the transgender agenda or was it the Freemasonry?
Yeah, it was the gender confusion agenda, right?
Gender confusion, that's it.
Yeah, this idea that children should just be born and raised genderless until they decide.
No, it's disgraceful. Anyway,
it was out of a 60 Minutes that's I think playing this Sunday in Australia. Yeah. So it's actually kind of funny that here we are on this podcast, and that's the reel I did today.
Matty's awesome. He did an awesome chat with Tanner on his podcast, and I'm very grateful that he's jumped on mine. And a week later, he's got an awesome story, a really, really awesome story, actually. So I'm looking forward to delving into that, delving into some truths, and hopefully this resonates with everyone. So, Matty, take it away, brother. I'll mute my microphone, and let's just hear about your journey for a start, I reckon.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thanks for the introduction. I'll start with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. So I am a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What led me into that, kind of many other journeys, if you will. So my story starts before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but that's the one that really kind of is where I fruited out of and into this new kind of life or passion of truth seeking and coaching other people and just kind of being true to myself and kind of seeking out discomfort to find comfort in the crazy world we have and really just challenge myself and be disciplined and whatnot. So the martial arts has certainly been the avenue for that, but it's interesting what led me to the martial arts. So I guess really the best place to start, especially since we're kind of geared in self-sabotage, it would be my divorce. So I was 30 years old. I was married to my ex-wife, and we got married in July. We had been together for like 4 or 5 years at that point. And by the following February, I was back home living with my parents, a 31-year-old, separated, like, I don't know what's going on. She says she doesn't love me anymore. And just kind of, what am I going to do now? So at that moment, I had gone back to college to get a teacher certification. I was going to be a high school chemistry teacher. And so I'm back home with my parents in February. I'm graduating in May and facing a divorce and kind of just like, all right, well, I'm going to be a teacher. I was back in college to become a teacher because I threw in the towel on being a rock star drummer, which was my original dream. And I met my ex-wife, decided, okay, I'm going to go this route, kind of just be more career oriented, not this come and go with the wind. Well, I'm a drummer and I just play in bands and I'm going to be a rock star someday. I think I was 26 at the time when I decided to go back to college. I figured if I wasn't a rock star by then, it's never going to happen. So anyway, I'm kind of getting ready to graduate, but I'm facing this divorce. We were separated, but I kind of knew it was over. And I kind of had this chip on my shoulder about life and where I was at, and this idea that, well, I threw in the towel on being a drummer, essentially for this relationship, and to get married and then become a teacher and have this career and settle down, white picket fence, and all this stuff that I was telling myself in my mind, right? This idea of why I was doing what I was doing. And then it was falling apart. And so I wasn't in a band, I wasn't drumming. And when I was drumming, I wasn't in that moment anymore, that now clarity that you get when you're doing something that you're passionate about or connected. And everyone has something in their life, or hopefully do, that gives them that kind of now moment, I call it, where it doesn't matter. Time can just, nothing exists. You're just in the zen. But I was no longer having that when I drummed. I was smashing on my drums and pissed off and thinking about my ex-wife and what was going on, and I should have never quit, and another relationship's over. So all these things going on in my head. But at the time, I found martial arts that year, and when I was training, that was giving me that moment again where my mind was clear. So I was getting more and more drawn to that, more and more drawn to kind of getting in the gym and training and just pursuing that. And I remember that I was I graduate that May, and now it's the summer, and I'm training more and more because I'm like, well, shit, I just graduated college. You know, I went back to college as an adult. I put 5 years in. I was working throughout it, and now I'm dealing with this divorce separation. I kind of just went like, gung ho, drinking every night, just smoking, just whatever, sleeping. It didn't matter what time I woke up. I was a spackler and a sheetrocker and a painter. So I had ways of making money that was kind of on my own time. I was doing my own jobs with a buddy, didn't care about anything, and was just like kind of releasing all of this stuff, but releasing it the wrong ways. The ways that you get promoted to release through the movies and the TV shows, and your buddy like, yeah, man, come on, let's just, oh, you're getting a divorce. Yeah, let's go get drunk. Let's just go drink about it. Yep. Oh, you need to go get laid, all the things that you see, the things that are backwards. And I was a black belt in that stuff before I ever got into martial arts. Okay, yeah, man. So binge drinking, just out all night, whatever, kind of feeling sorry about myself, but not really showing it, and just kind of like, yeah, I'm owed this, so let me just do it. But the martial arts was where I was getting that real purpose, that real connection. So I'm training more and more. And then I'm interviewing. So I get a interview for this one position to be a teacher, and I get the demo lesson, and the interview went well. And then they asked me back, and now I'm meeting with the superintendent. And I thought for sure I was a shoo-in for the job. I was just like assumed like, oh, I'm an older male. I have the athletic background. I want to be a coach. These were all things that I thought just like would guarantee me a job. Science and math. I had like dual certifications where I was going to be able to teach, either high school or middle school. And so anyway, I just assumed I was going to get this job. Now, in the back of my mind, I was kind of just like, not psyched about that, but was just like, oh, okay, yeah, this is where I'm going to end up. But it wasn't like I was truly passionate, excited, like, oh man, I just graduated after 5 years of college. And I'm now going to be this teacher. I was kind of just like, okay, it's a thing I'm going to do. And I was doing it more like, I always felt like I was settling, like it was somebody else's kind of program that was implanted into me, and I was just going along with it. And so built into that was, I got this idea because I was still having this issue in my mind and like pissed off about what was going on with my divorce. I don't even remember how I thought of this or like why, but I was like, I'm going to go to Thailand and have like a vacation and just train Muay Thai while I'm out there. And so I was like a beginner martial artist. Like I wasn't, I hadn't been doing kickboxing or Muay Thai essentially for a long time at all. But I was just like, yeah, I can go on vacation and I can train, because when I'm training, I feel good. My mind's clear. And I remember before I got the call if I was going to have this job or not, I was looking at the scheduling, and I was like, okay, if I get hired, I can go to Thailand during the winter break in February. And I was like, if I don't get hired, I'm going immediately. And so it's funny with the way the world works, or the intention in the universe. In my mind, I was like, yo, I want to go to Thailand. I want to go to Thailand now, and I want to train, and I want to get out of here. I want to like hit reset. I just want to cleanse everything that's going on. It's funny, the reason that I went there, it ended up being the greatest thing I ever could have done was go there. But even the reasons were founded in sedation. The reasons were founded in sabotage in a way, like, oh, let me just escape. Let me get out of here. Let me go to this other place, and I'll just train all the time, because when I'm training, my mind's not thinking about this stuff. So now that I know what I know, I look back at that and I'm like, yeah, even that's a form of sabotage, or just that sedation, right? That kind of numbing of, well, I'm not going to face anything. And so, yeah, sure enough, I did not get the job. So the day before school, and I'm a daily weed smoker at this time too. So I'm like, man, I got to fucking detox out of weed because I'm going to have to get drug tested to get this job. So I'm like thinking about all this stuff. Don't get the job. So I'm like, all right, sweet. Fire up a bowl. I start smoking and I'm getting pumped. I'm like, nice, I'm going to Thailand. Sure enough, I buy a one-way ticket to Thailand. Like, I think I left I don't know, 1 or 2 weeks after this phone call. So like the phone call was the day before school was going to start. We're sucked in itself because I was kind of like, man, if I'm getting this phone call today and I'm literally going to be in a classroom tomorrow, waking up at like 5 a.m, I like did not even want to do it. I honestly didn't. So, it's funny what the world gives you, the universe gives you. Because that was not really, my most fun morning, that first day of going to school. And so, yeah, one-way ticket to Thailand. And I'm sitting in my room in Thailand, probably day 2 or 3. I wasn't there for long. And bang, panic attack. Just like everything. Like, what are you doing? How did you end up here? Like, I think I saw something on the TV that I found like some American channel and it was like a song came on or something. And it just made me start thinking about, my wife at the time. We were still married, but, ex-wife for sake of this conversation. So start thinking about that. And like, I was always a homebody and I'd never done something like that. Just like gone out on my own and flew to Thailand, like nothing even remotely close to that. Even the house that my wife and I lived in was a mile down the road from where I grew up and was born and raised. So it was just kind of shell shock. And I remember thinking to myself, like, well, shit, you're going to have to save face. You got to stay here for like at least another week. Like it's a 27-hour flight. You told everyone, you're coming out here to train. And, I'm thinking, playing all this stuff in my head while my heart's slamming through my chest. If anyone's ever had anxiety or a panic attack, I mean, I was fully enthralled, oh man, I hate that feeling. Thankfully, I have that under control, or at least I feel I do, right? I haven't had one of those in years. But it was a moment of just like, fuck, dude, what am I doing? How did I get here? And sure enough, so like Jason Christoff always says, it's in the pain, it's through the pain, right? That we kind of get to where we need to be or can grow and learn. Sure enough, man, I'll make this Thailand part of the story really quick. I ended up staying in Thailand for 3 months. Oh, wow. Like calling my mom, asking my mom to sell my car, to send me the money. I don't need a car. I can get a car when I come home. Like, I'm going to move here. I want to live here. Like the time of my life, just completely life-changing experience for the better. Met so many awesome people. One of my best buddies that I met out there was Australian. A lot of Aussie guys were hanging out in the same spot. It was a very touristy type of area. I was in Shillong, Phuket, trained at Tiger Muay Thai, which is also cool. Like Tiger Muay Thai now is a huge UFC gym, like huge affiliate, just champions train there. I was there when it was like up and coming, so it was kind of cool. A lot of the guys from my gym that I train at have gone there too. So it was just really cool that like, I feel like I kind of started this little thing, even though I was a beginner at what I was doing, but like it turned into this whole thing for so many other people. It was just really interesting. And so, yeah, I ended up coming home. The plan was I'm going to get all my kind of ducks in order. And then I'm just going to go back there and move there. That didn't happen. That was 11 years ago. So I've never been back since. But then that got me really into the martial arts. I came home. I was like, no, I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be grounded into one spot, into a mold, into this kind of just system, if you will. I was always sketched out by like the politics of things. Like, do as you're told, be a good boy, and then that's how you scale up the ranks. But like there was no merit there. And so one of the things that I'm really found in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is that there's only reality in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There's kind of what you're presented in the moment and your skills and ability to handle them or do with them what you will to better your situation. That's it. It doesn't matter, if you're called boss. It doesn't matter if you're making $1 million a month. It doesn't matter if you bench press 350 pounds. It doesn't matter if you were the coolest kid growing up. Or none of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is literally the reality of the moment, you versus another man or woman, their mind, their body, and how they're kind of presenting their version of that to you. And may the best individual win in that moment. Or kind of implement their will. And it can be very uncomfortable. You can be smothered. You can feel that feeling that I had of anxiety when there's somebody on top of you, choking you, strangling you, right? Trying to break your arm. A lot of these things are kind of, I take them and I translate them into life lessons. But when you're doing that type of training and facing that every day, it really makes you see things for what they are. And it makes you want to live truth. It makes you want to be kind of the best version of yourself. So that kind of just slingshotted me into this world of self-development, self-growth, honesty, right? Looking myself in the mirror, always trying to be as honest as possible with myself and the way I'm living my life. And my best friend now, the godfather of my son, and my first truther mentor, if you will, we call him Spain. He's my friend Mike, but he's born and raised in Spain. We're sitting training after rolling one day, and I'll never forget it. For me, the red pill, if you will, was 9/11. He just starts talking, and the way he's talking, I'm like, what's this guy talking about? And he's like, oh, man, you never looked into 9/11? I was like, what do you mean looked into it? He's like, bro, he's like, the official story's garbage. And I'm like, what's this guy talking about? What do you mean the official story? I'm like, 9/11 happened, psycho terrorists flew planes into buildings and wanted to kill us for our freedoms. Anyway, we don't want to go down that road. You're right. We're going to try and stay on track here with self-sabotage, but that kind of experience, though, of seeing somebody who was clearly intelligent, who wasn't just rattling off information verbatim or like repeat that was put into him. He was speaking from knowledge. He was speaking from experience. He was speaking from research. And I saw how he was with jujitsu, and you kind of have to be the same way to level up in jujitsu. Because if you suffer from cognitive dissonance, that's a white belt who leaves the gym and never trains again. Those are the people that can't handle it. They can't handle the truth. They can't handle that, I was a star athlete in college and I bench pressed 300 pounds and I'm this stud Adonis, and this little skinny 160-pound guy who's been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 5 years can literally murder me in 5 seconds if he wanted to. People can't handle that. They can't handle the truth. They can't handle reality. And so in this world of training with these people, and it wasn't just my friend Mike, it was a lot of the other guys, they just had a way about thinking, a way about dissecting reality that was new for me, but was founded in like these things that I kind of already felt, but just never really kind of dissected so much. And so, yeah, it started with that. And then I think the truther world, or like, if someone's calling you a conspiracy theorist, I guess maybe there's like a true conspiracy theorist out there that just like literally is sitting on the internet and is like, okay, let me find something to say that sounds absurd. And then that's the end of it. I'm just going to repeat it, like just to kind of sound trivial. That's not me. Like anything that I've been called a conspiracy theorist for, I've treated like martial arts. I've put in the mat time. I have blood, sweat, and teared and like questioned my own sanity, dug as deep as I can, faced reality, got uncomfortable with myself. And then whatever reality or truth I accept, I feel confident in. And I don't care if it means 99% of the people won't agree with what I have to say about it. I just don't care anymore. I used to be bothered by that. And it could help control maybe my voice or how I would speak. But kind of more in line of what we're talking about with the self-sabotage and coaching is this idea of, but you have to be connected to your purpose to not sabotage, and kind of you have to be connected to your purpose to be able to speak your purpose. If you're not truly connected to it, there'll be fear there. There'll be a little hesitancy, or you'll not want to ruffle feathers. And that's a form of self-sabotage in itself, because you're people pleasing, or you're, like Jason says, go along to get along. And if you're going along to get along or people pleasing, well, the majority of people are self-sabotaging. So you're going to find yourself in that tribe of sabotage, going along to get along, because you're not truly connected. And so that's going to lead you down those roads where, you're going to end up drinking all the time. You're going to end up overweight. You're going to end up eating garbage, whatever, not getting good sleep. all the health modalities that we can rattle off that are connected to self-sabotage are founded in this disconnect and this kind of inability to live your truth or your message or even find it. I found it for sure. And then I'd say the biggest leap for me was becoming a father, for sure. That has been like a 10x in terms of my, well, fuck it, I don't care. And I just don't care anymore because there's only one thing that matters. And there's only one thing that's kind of my purpose now. And that's that I'm a father. And being a father hopefully means that I'm a husband, right? Which I am. And so that means that my wife, the woman, the mother of my child, and my child are all that matter. And so why do they matter? Well, I'm a man and I'm supposed to fight and protect and serve. Well, then, okay, how do I fight, protect, and serve? I need to be the best version of myself. How do I be the best version of myself? I need to get connected. I need to be honest. I need to have a message and a mission, and I need to live it. If I'm going to talk the talk, I need to walk the walk. And kind of that's where I'm at. And that's why, yeah, I'm making reels on the daily that, you know, old friends are probably like, what the fuck's going on with this guy? He's lost his mind. I got a message today. Like, I've been concerned for you. That your videos are becoming more and more weird or crazy. You're not founded in reality. And, you know, I haven't responded to this individual yet. Maybe they're even watching this podcast when it gets posted. And I have since responded. But, you know, lifelong friend, hopefully can remain lifelong friends in lieu of their feelings. But, you know, I don't apologize for speaking my truth. I don't apologize for living my truth. I don't apologize if speaking and living my truth offends you. I don't apologize if speaking and my living truth is not in line with your living truth. I don't, and I can't anymore. So, you know, we can get a little bit into where I sabotaged myself and how I've overcome some of those things. Or, you know, you can kind of respond to all that I just said, if you will.
I can just relate so much to that, mate. Like, in terms of the stuff I was posting too, like I get messages the same as you from old buddies or just people I used to like hang out with, play sport and that with. So I can resonate with that so much, man, because I used to get those messages too, still get them occasionally now too. And it's like, I haven't lost my mind. I'm completely fine as I am. I'm 100% healthy. And yeah, I'm just speaking my truth because I know the core truths within myself that I can express out to the world as, I'm just resonating with it, man. Really haven't got any words to, it's just, I'm resonating with it because it's me as well, man.
And you know what too, it's like, it's one thing to receive criticism or to kind of hear kind of like, I didn't ask for that advice, but you're giving it to me or telling me kind of a criticism of what you see. That's totally different. Excuse me. That's totally different than like that kind of triggered or just response telling you you're crazy or why you're not, you know, in line with what they think or feel. Because that to me that's no different than probably how they're hearing my message. I'm literally just going to put up a wall and be like, yo, dude, like I can't unpack 12 years of self-growth development, truth-seeking, and research in one conversation because I said something that you think is crazy. That's not going to happen. Just like I can't make you a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that took me 11 years of blood, sweat, and tears training, truth-seeking, you know, looking in the mirror, right? What am I doing? I can't just in one day turn you into a black belt. You have to put in the time. And so what's going on in the world with the, hey man, you're crazy, what happened to you? Or, you know, these are people I'm going to assume, but correct me if I'm wrong, the ones saying this to you are not the ones that are healthy, stable, in shape, disciplined, kind of, you know, bettering themselves. They're probably the people that are literally living the same life they lived as teenagers.
Yep.
Or worse, right? That teenagers, they were probably healthier, less obese, less overweight, maybe more active, right? So it's just, I've gotten to a point where I think because of the drumming and I was like a popular, you know, I was I was the quarterback in high school. I played football. I was the goalie in hockey. I was a leader. I was like the kind of the guy that got all the guys together, and then my girlfriend got all the girls together, and that's how the guys
jock.
and the girls started. Yeah,
Isn't it jocks over there? You're a jock.
I was technically a jock, I guess. Yeah, I certainly was.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a jock like the movies. I was, got good grades and was a smart kid, if you will, and smart. But that's another one, right? Intelligence.
Yeah.
Well, what does that mean? Because in terms of self-sabotage and how we know that's related to the subconscious, there are very, very intelligent people doing very, very, very stupid things. And well, what does that mean then about intelligence? Or what does that say about intelligence? What is a true marker of intelligence? And so I've come kind of now into this understanding for me personally, where like intelligence is the degree to which you get connected to your purpose and then can live it, and you're leveling up health-wise. Because a healthy mind is a healthy body, right? And a healthy mind and body means you're healthy in your emotions. And if you have a healthy mind, body and emotions, most likely 99 out of 100 times, there's some form of spiritual connection there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Now, because it wasn't until I came full circle with my spiritual connection that those four pillars kind of came together. Because I did always kind of feel I was healthy in body. I had a moment where I let loose, after high school, college, just drinking all the time, eating whatever, not working out. All of a sudden, I'm like almost 200 pounds. I walk around now at like 173 or kilos. I'm not sure what that is for you.
Oh, no idea either.
Yeah, but I'm not like a big guy, but I used to be 20 pounds heavier, 25 pounds heavier of just slug weight than I am now. But I pretty much was always kind of physically fit, or wanted to be. I felt like I was emotionally put together. And, I did have like intelligence, I felt, right? I went and got a degree in chemistry, if that's a sign of intelligence, which I hate to even say that because of what I feel now about institutions and these degrees. And hey, man, I'm a PhD. It's like, I deal in experiences. I deal in energy. I don't deal in letters after your name. I don't deal in authority. None of that means anything to me anymore. It's who are you as an individual when I'm in your presence and experiencing your energy and kind of, my experience with you. But the thing that was missing was built into that, and it's certainly a form of self-sabotage that I think gets overlooked, because it's almost like taboo to talk about spirit and soul because of the way, in my opinion, organized religion has bastardized these things. Because this is what happened to me, right? I went from being raised Roman Catholic, having a innate divine connection that I was kind of in tune with at a young age, and then just get bastardized out of me by this idea of going to church every Sunday. And, we had a pedophile priest in my parish. It's like, everything that could have gone wrong was going wrong. Like, why do I have to be here? I was getting disconnected, even though I still was doing things and experiencing them on my own. I was getting disconnected because of the path, right? It's like, in my opinion, organized religion puts you on such a strict, rigid path. When you're the path is just already who you are. You are the path. You're the path. You're the journey. You're the destination. It's all already there. You were born with it. But they're like, no, make a right here. Go straight now. Go left. Oh, hey, no, turn around. Come back. Do as I'm told. It's all just kind of another piece of the puzzle for control, if you will, and people to just get disconnected, in my opinion. Yep. So I truly started getting disconnected. And the one thing that stood out for me, actually, what happened was, I remember I was about 16. And so got to throw this out there. Actually, I was in terms of my age, I don't recommend this, but I did acid at a very young age, and it completely opened up my mind and shifted my view of kind of society and reality. And it broke down these structures of authority and like the kind of like just kind of walk in line. It's when I ended up starting to play the drums. It's when I kind of blossomed in more of a free spirit. And like, I used to be very quiet and observant, and I started to become more outgoing. So it just kind of helped me open up. And I remember it was also shortly after that I was sitting in church one day, and I remember just being like looking around. I was like, yo, we're all like fucking robots right now. It's this mundane and low and everybody repeating the same shit, standing up at the same time, kneeling down, like looking miserable, like low energy vibe. Now, no disrespect to people. I have plenty of friends that are still connected to organized religion, and it's a saving grace for them. And I'm not trying to disrespect them in any way. I'm speaking for me personally. And I remember I had this thought. I was like, if we all have our own fingerprints, and we're supposed to, like, fingerprints mean we're individuals. I was like, well, then how come we all have to have this same shared God experience? And it can only come from one vessel, or this one individual, or this, or no, it's my church. I go to, it just all started breaking down for me in that moment. I'm like, wait a second. So hold on. So we all have our own fingerprints. We're all individuals, but we're only allowed to see this truth at the church I'm going to, which is also part of a religion that has billions of other churches, all other different interpretations, which then also has different religions, different interpretations. Wars have been fought over them. People get killed, all for this stuff that I was born with, that's already inside of me, that I'm a part of, that's being bastardized. So I checked out, but I didn't have the wisdom and the connection yet to be like, oh, that means you find your own path. I checked out and did the hard pendulum swing to atheism and scientism. And like, science is the answer. Ah, yes. With science, I can show these religious, people that's all bullshit, and it's just fantasy, and you can't prove it, so it doesn't exist, and all this stuff. And I championed the cause, and it was such a form of self-sabotage, because built into that is you're just some random meat suit floating around, right? Because, enough time went by, and here you are, and monkeys were just dancing around long enough, and then humans came, even though there's a giant gap in that story. So I started to just like really champion the cause of atheism, and it pulled me so far away from my true connection that I have now. But in terms of self-sabotage and coaching, I found that in that experience is where I found the balance. It's where I found my purpose, because I had both sides. And, so analogy I use with a lot of my clients now is, you don't go seeking out the self-sabotage, but it can be used to your advantage, because for you to find the new center or your balance, a pendulum that's at rest has a balance point, right? And so for you to know where that middle point is when it's swinging on both sides, or let's take two lines, for instance. If I have a line here and a line here, and I want to know the center point, well, I have to know where the two lines are. I can't create a center unless I have two boundaries, right? So life is experience, and experience is the ultimate teacher. So you almost have to experience these ends of the spectrum, right? That's why, like, let your mess be your message, or every master was once a disaster. Well, that's because they had that experience in that other end of the spectrum, and then they want to be here. But it's by wanting to get to here and have this experience that they find the middle balance. Because you can also then go from being a mess on this one side to still being a mess, but it's just, well, now I'm healthy, right? Now I'm in the gym 24/7. I'm destroying my body, but I'm healthy doing it, and I'm a freak and fanatic and all this stuff that people will say. That is a form of self-sabotage as well. You need the balance, right? Look at guys like David Goggins. I don't know if you're familiar with David Goggins. I love the man, but there's no balance there, right? He's not having some healthy relationships. I know he went through a divorce. It's like, the guy needs to beat his body up to keep his mind right 24/7. Now, maybe that's how he's living his life, but it's out of balance. There's no balance. It's too much of this side. Even though it's a good side, it's too much. So I've even come full circle with my self-sabotage, because my good side was, oh, well, I smoke weed because it quiets down my ADD machine gun brain and lets me focus, and I get stuff done. and I get it done better, and I self-medicate for my anxiety with it. It's like, nah, man, nope. Because once I started truly realizing about the honesty and looking yourself in the mirror and really being the best version of yourself that you can be, I said to myself, how the hell can I be born perfect? Right? I don't believe in the organized religion, Catholicism. You're born a sinner. Really?
Yeah.
Really? So I'm a piece of the whole. I'm a fractal of this infinite loving consciousness of creation. But when I am born into this human experience, it's on the wrong foot. No thanks. I don't believe that. So I was actually born with everything inside of me, born perfect. It's all within. It's just a rediscovery. So then if that's the case, how then do I validate that I'm doing something on the daily to be better, to feel better, when it's a substance like I'm lighting it on fire, inhaling the smoke, or even if I'm eating it as a gummy or whatever, it's changing the way I feel. So it's a slippery slope where you can validate those things. And I validated that literally for 30 years. I smoked weed for the first time Halloween night when I was 13. I'm 43. So I was smoking weed throughout. And I validated it and reasoned it. And well, I went and got a degree in chemistry. I mean, you can validate your vices all day long. But if you're in the business of truly getting connected to yourself and your purpose and being honest and trying to level up and get that spiritual kind of knowledge and wisdom, you have to break down and dissect everything that you're doing for good, for better or for worse. And so, yeah, for me, it was like, damn, man, like weed's got to be one of them. Kratom. I took Kratom every day for 6 years. I don't know if some people still don't even know what Kratom is. So Kratom is like, it's a Southeast Asian plant, and it's got very sedative effects. What I kind of took to it was similar to like the onset of a pain pill, right? And so I've had surgeries and whatnot, and I've had to take some pain medicine, and I enjoyed the way it made me feel. Yes, it made you not feel pain, but I see and saw why people, can get down that self-sabotage road and become addicts. And then the legal drug dealer of pain pills are doctors. It just so happens that the street version is heroin. Same exact drugs, right? So, oh man. Anyway, I would train really hard, and at this time, this is going back now like 7 years ago, right? Because I stopped taking Kratom last summer. So 2016, and I would just get home after training, and I'd smoke some weed and relax, and that would be my thing. Oh, I trained hard. Let me just relax and smoke and hang out. So another thing about self-sabotage is when you validate and reason, when you start to kind of get out of one form of that sabotage, you really just repurpose it and go to another. So it's really not until you get to the root and you say, wait a second, why am I even sedating? Why do I have to feel relaxed? I went and enjoyed what I did to my body. Why do I now need to do something to compensate for that? And so, yeah, the first time I had Kratom, I was like, oh my God, like I feel great. I'm very relaxed. Like, this is awesome. And then it slowly just becomes a habit. Like, well, I trained. I want to feel relaxed. Oh, well, I didn't train, but I want to feel relaxed. It feels nice when I'm sitting on my couch or laying down after I have some Kratom. And next thing you know, I was the type of individual, or I am the type of individual where I could always validate or reason. And sure enough, next thing you know, I'm taking Kratom every single day. And at first, that didn't bother me. I didn't even think about it because I wasn't as far along my path as I am now. I didn't know who Jason Christoff was, didn't listen to his podcasts and take his courses and understand self-sabotage. And I just thought, well, shit, everything else is in order. I'm not, I have a job, I'm training. I was always able to validate everything. And so the problem is, the first time I was taking Kratom, I was mixing up 1/2 gram of this powder. 1/2 gram. I remember the first time I took like a little too much. and I got like almost like anxiety and jittery. Like you can take too much and you'll get sick, you'll throw up. I've never had that happen, but I've been on like the cusp where I took too much. And the first time that was like I took 3 grams. So you want to talk about self-sabotage and the way your body will kind of acclimate and you are just always scaling and chasing the dragon. When I stopped taking kratom, now I always only took kratom once a day. It was after training. Again, this is probably me rationalizing, right? Or validating, like, hey, wait a second, I wasn't addicted to kratom. You know, I didn't have a problem with it. But you know, I didn't think I did, right? I never jonesed for it. I wasn't like looking at the clock, like, all right, you know, I didn't wake up wanting it, but it was totally habitual and something that I would do absolutely every night to kind of like wind me down, kind of just relax after training. Or if I wasn't training, I'd be like, oh, okay, you know, I'll take it around like 7, every single day. By the time I stopped finally last summer, I was mixing up 23 grams in a shot.
Wow.
23 grams of this powder, not a drink, not something you sip on, just like, oh God, let me get this down. Bro, that's like a 23x over 6 years.
Wow.
Slowly scaling up, always half-gram increments over time. Oh, okay, hey, I'll take it, bump it up. I'm not feeling it the same. Oh, I want to feel that. Bump. So what really alerted me to the issue was I never experienced withdrawals. I didn't even think it was a thing. But 2019 into 2020, I did a ayahuasca journey. I went and I did a 5-day, like it was like bringing in the new year. I went to a farm and we did 2 ayahuasca ceremonies, two nighttime ayahuasca ceremonies and a daytime San Pedro ceremony. And which was awesome, right? Like I know some people have mixed feelings in terms of plant medicines or whatnot, but I'm still a proponent of these things. And anyway, I had to detox for that. Now, detox for me just meant, oh, okay, so I got to stop smoking weed. I got to stop taking kratom, you know, like don't drink any alcohol. I didn't know that meant like in my body was going to be like, no, you're detoxing, buddy. So that first day I didn't take kratom. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, yo, what the fuck's going on, man? Like, I'm all like, I can't sleep. I have like this restless leg syndrome, but like in my body. And my wife is a naturopathic doctor. And she's like, yeah, you're detoxing. I was like, what? Like, I totally like just blinded by it.
Yeah.
And so I stayed off of it for a while, but then got back onto it. And then once I got back onto it, I was like, yo, because I can relate now. I see what happens to people, especially like hardcore drug addicts or like the dope and the heroin, that type of withdrawal, or alcohol even.
Coffee too.
Coffee,
yeah.
Right? Because then I was like, I started getting back into it, and then it was mindless just doing it. But then as it was creeping up to that like 20 gram mark, I was doing it, and I was like, I was also more now in tune with the self-sabotage and this path, and like I'm a health coach and I don't want to feel like a hypocrite, and like why am I doing this? And so my mind would always kind of play that kind of record of like, yo, dude, like you're kind of a hypocrite right now. And I hated that feeling. So I would be taking the kratom. While I enjoyed the way it made me feel, every time I would take it, it was kind of just like, man, you know, you got to stop doing this. Why are you doing this? But in the back of my mind, I was like, fuck, dude, like I don't want to go through the dark night of the soul, dark night of the soul for me. And so it was probably a month, no, maybe even more. Shit, I think it was in April. It was April of last year. My son was born. No, he was born 2 years ago, but I remember it was like around his birthday. And I remember telling my wife, I was like, yeah, I really want to get off this kratom. Like, I don't know why I'm doing it all the time. And it took from April to about July. I finally was like, it was random. I ran out of the supply I had. You could just go and buy somewhere. I'd ordered online from this distributor, but there was a spot I could always go and just grab somewhere if I needed it or I ran out. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to buy it. I'm not going to the store. Like, I know I want to get off of this stuff. And yeah, sure enough, man, a good 3 nights. It wasn't no problems during the day. I wasn't irritable, but man, 3 nights of just like no sleep, tossing and turning. the most weird description. The only way I can describe it is if you've ever had or can think of what restless leg syndrome is or would feel like, but I had it in my chest and my soul and my body. And I was just like, I'd lay there, I couldn't sleep. I'd lay in a position for 5 seconds, have to roll over, turn. It's just like constantly moving, sweating. So yeah, very uncomfortable. But that's when I realized, I was like, whoa, okay. You kind of have to go into the pain. You have to face the dark night of the soul. You have to, if you want to get to the other side. There's no, because I look, oh, well, wean off of it. No, weaning off is putting, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Weaning off is realizing that I need to let go, but I'm still holding on. Yeah. Weaning off is breaking up with a girlfriend, but let's try and still be friends. Things don't work. They don't work. Now, I have friends that are exes, but the whole, that whole, like, it's holding on to what is that you don't want anymore, or that you've been shown isn't for you anymore, right? I've had a client who, great kid, we've made awesome strides, young guy, 21, his big issue was heartbreak. And his whole thing was this idea of like, but I don't get it. We said we were just, taking some time. And yeah, I know I broke up with her, right? That's the funny thing, right? He broke up with her, but then was having this issue because, he gets a phone call from her that, she slept with some dude or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, you broke up with her because you knew the relationship wasn't for you anymore. It wasn't working. You even said that to me, but you're still 1 foot in, 1 foot out, connected, holding on. The old program of you're my girlfriend is running, but the reality is you're not my girlfriend. So a lot of dis-ease, suffering, discomfort comes from the reality in your mind, which is not a reality, it's a program, and usually a false program, is not the reality you're living. And when that happens, man, that is the cause of all suffering. Another of that is expectation. An expectation is a false reality in your mind of something that could happen and is going to happen. And then when it doesn't happen is when you get all fucked up. But if it does happen, it's just an expectation. So you don't even give it a second thought. You don't run around celebrating your expectations. They just happen. So why have any expectations? It's this false reality in your mind. So I help people with that, with the coaching where, again, connected to the programming. What's the program in your mind? Well, that's your subconscious. Okay, who programmed it and how? What is the program? And how in tune and in sync is it with the reality you're living? The closer you mesh those two, the better your life. I mean, that's kind of like self-sabotage 101. To what extent is your life that you're living a healthy one, connected and in sync with the program running in your mind, or not? Because you can still be healthy and be self-sabotaging, so there's still disconnect there. And maybe you never have that full cohesion because life is a journey. And I hope that until my last breath, I'm leveling up, or at least trying to, or engaging in experiences with that mindset of, yeah, this is to gain more knowledge, right? Like, how awesome would that be if, like, on the day I die, I know I'm dying and I'm like, yo, I just learned something today. I look forward to that. Like, I hope that can happen. But people are so disconnected. They're so polluted. They're disconnected to source. They're disconnected to that innate reality, but they're so connected to the perversion of that source.
Correct.
The evil that's going on. And sure enough, that's why, we'll get messages when you're living this truth and trying to I'm not trying to tell people how to live their lives. I'm literally just sharing with them what I'm doing now.
But you're showing them a better way. Yeah.
And you can lead a horse to water, right? But I've learned, because my wife helps me with that a lot too. A lot of times I run by her some of the things. I run by the health stuff with her more. I don't I don't get the clearance on a lot of the conspiracy stuff anymore. That's kind of just like, what the truther world did for me, what becoming a conspiracy theorist did for me in terms of my growth is so impactful that when I remember some of the videos I saw or some of the things that I connected with, I don't think anymore about like, maybe this is my apology to anyone I offend, but I don't think of those people when I'm making these videos and posting them. I'm not thinking like, oh, well, shit, this person isn't a conspiracy theorist, or this person voted for Biden, or this person voted for Trump, or this person still thinks public school is education. I just don't think like that. I think of what those videos, when I saw them, did for me. And maybe somebody else out there will have the same reaction to a video that I put out.
Spot on. Well said.
Right? So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And then I'm learning that you're always going to get flack. You're always going to get the response. You're always going to, I mean, some of these ones that I get. So Facebook, a lot of the political stuff that I do, the algorithms on Facebook, I will get those like older, left-wing lunatics, so far left, they left the building, that like right away, like I'm identified as a Trumper, a Republican, a conservative, all these things that they've just been programmed to say. None of them are true. Like, to me, the whole system is a freaking joke.
Yep.
Right? Like, you know, you want to put labels and things on everybody, fine. I guess I'm an anarchist then. Like, government is nothing but coercion and force. They don't achieve anything. It's organized crime. It's the greatest organized crime ever. Things done through programming, indoctrination, right? Like, anyway, these people come out of the woodwork always. And I used to have to validate or feel like I'd have to respond, or, you know, I wouldn't vote for Trump. I'm not, you know, I don't believe in that stuff. And I've learned now that no, that's when you put yourself out there, you have to have thick skin, because you're literally putting yourself out there. And the internet and the way social media works is people that would never in a billion years speak to me like that in person, if I'm looking them in the eye and I can challenge them intellectually, or if need be, you know, if there were ramifications for actions and I had to physically do something to them, which I'm capable of, would never say what they're saying. Exactly. But it opens up floodgates to let these people have a voice as well. And so just because someone has a voice doesn't mean you have to listen, doesn't mean you have to respond. Right? So it's kind of like you have to tune that out. If you're going to be on your own path, yes, you stand on the shoulders of giants and those before you, and you take information and criticism and wisdom from other people, but you don't have to listen to or pay attention to the what's the word? Not like unsolicited suggestion box from low life energy individuals who have access to the internet. Like, you know, like, I'm sorry, you're not going to better my life. Your path is your path. You're on your kind of lane of traffic. And I actually used to be in almost every lane of traffic in terms of that kind of analogy that I've heard Jason use. I can remember being in one of them. So I don't hate this person. I don't have any ill will towards them, right? Like, I remember getting into an argument with my brother about the Second Amendment. This is before my awakening. What do you need a freaking machine gun for? Like, because I didn't have the wisdom, I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the mindset of, oh, wait a second. There are some seriously evil and psychotic individuals in government that want to control people, and the way they do that is through guns, and they want you to have more guns so they can do it easier.
And they did it here in Australia. They took ours.
Oh man, I mean, look at what happened with you guys. And that happened shortly after taking your guns.
Correct.
As Jeff Berwick says, Australia.
I like the Dollar Vigilante. He's good.
So I went through a big phase of watching his videos, listening to him a lot.
Same.
So you got to pick from a bunch of different trees, and see what connects and resonates with you. And not everybody has to then share their voice. Exactly. But I saw what it did for me. I've worked with a talent agency. I've been paid to be a model and an actor and a spokesperson for businesses. And I was like, yo, why don't I just get paid for my message? Exactly. If I'm good enough to be on camera for other people's messages, and I feel strongly about something, And I feel that I'm confident in being kind of a black sheep. I'm confident in being an outlier. I'm not going to shy away from that. I felt like I was that my whole life in a different way, in a more celebrated way. Like, oh, I'm the quarterback. You're standing out. You know, you're a good athlete, right? Oh, I'm the goalie. You're standing. Oh, you're good. I'm the drummer in the band. You're standing out. And I didn't mind being the outlier, but for most of my life, it was in a way that was like kind of celebrated, or look at what Matt's doing. Now it's kind of come full circle where the people I'm connecting with is who I want to connect with. But the ones that are looking at me as an outlier and a black sheep are more like, yo, what the fuck's up with this guy? Man, I lost so much respect for Matt. Oh, you know, where did this come from? His videos are just getting crazier and crazier. What can I say, man? As my videos are getting crazier and crazier for other people, I feel like I'm leveling up more and more and more and getting connected more and more to my true purpose and spirit and soul.
That's it.
So what? And health, right? Like I've never been healthier. I've never been happier. But to 99% of the outside population who think they know me, I've also never been crazier.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be sane in this society. I am not trying to be sane in this society. I mean, look at it.
I love that, mate. That was awesome. The best thing there is too, I changed my perspective of those people, because when they comment on something, well, their friends of friends see it. So it's like, well, you can bag the shit at me all you want, but if a friend of a friend saw that comment and saw my content and resonated with it, then my job's done.
Yeah.
I don't care about your comment. I care about the friend of the friend that saw my video and was like, oh shit, that just changed my life. That's how I see those comments now.
Yeah. And my content used to be to please those that were already following, to please the friends, to please the friends list.
Yeah,
the friends list for my social media up until about a year ago or so, my social media was to entertain and please the friends list. Meaning I already know them. I either met them through the gym and I'm looked at as a coach at the gym. And so they're kind of just like tagging along with what I'm doing. Maybe not tagging along, you know, I was their coach, right? But it wasn't like the friends list, Facebook friends list. Okay, we grew up together. Yeah, we went to school together. We were on sports teams together. I haven't seen you in 10, 15 years, but we're friends on Facebook. So up until about a year ago, it was all about, well, how do I kind of, you know, entertain them or share what I'm doing and they can like and chime in. Now, the fact is complete strangers are following me because of my message. And I don't care if it's just one person that did it. That means I'm going to continue doing it. And it hasn't been just one person, you know, and this isn't the first podcast that I'm on now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing something that I feel is right with what I'm doing. And if it doesn't resonate with someone else, or they feel personally attacked, as is the case with what happened today, because I mentioned Freemasonry, and this of a Freemason lodge, you know, what am I supposed to do? I can't correct that in a conversation. No, I'm just keep my ball rolling, speak my truth. And think about guys like Jason Christoff, you know, Jason Christoff did not change my life because he was worried about the people he went to high school and what they had to say about his posts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you said, it's the message that you get, the feedback that you get, that kind of fills you with the, oh man, okay, that's awesome. That person actually resonated with what I just said. Sweet, I'm doing something right. That's what matters to me. And that's who I'm looking for. That's who I'm trying to connect with. And then when I connect with them on that level, I'm also promoting what I'm doing for health. And then maybe because they were looking at their life from a truth-seeking perspective, they will then naturally be filtered and find the way of like, well, you know, I also want to be healthier. And then maybe they choose to work with me. But if they don't, I'm fine with just that aspect. I have fun doing it. It's a hobby. I like making these videos. I like when an idea pops into my head. It's a creative outlet. You know, I like when I see something happen in real life on the news and I'm like, oh man, I got them now. Look at this shit. I'll make a video on that one. Like that one's going to get good. You know, like I'm going to get a lot of likes on that one. Yeah. You know, and I'm not doing it for the likes. but the likes will help you know that what you're doing is resonating. It's a feedback system. So again, the bastardization of the truth, or the bastardization of these technologies, social media can be a great tool, but most people are using it for consumption and sabotage. Like, I know that this Black Mirror is a Black Mirror magical device of programming and destroying society. I know
this thing
that.
right here.
I'm looking into right now, right?
Yeah.
I don't get that twisted, but I'm trying to use it to my advantage with that knowledge,
Exactly.
right? Like, it's kind of hard, or if not impossible, to do what we're doing with messaging in today's world without having a social media presence.
It's just changed. Yeah. No, you're right. You go.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just going to say, like, another thing that somebody said that I've recently had, and it's only recently, since I've been like posting consistently and making stuff. Some new followers like, yo, man, how have you not gone viral yet? Like, I can't believe you only have like X amount of followers. Like, that's crazy. And to me, that just makes me feel good about it and be like, all right, cool, man. Because I feel like the pages, some of these truth or conspiracy pages, that like, you can almost start to think that more people get that message. And then you realize that, no, man, this page has 100,000 followers. And like, that's a drop in the bucket. And no one else knows or sees this message. And so, like, when you think about it, that sounds like a lot of people, but it's only in the small community that's like, oh, 100,000 followers. Yeah, I'd love to have 100,000 followers. But now I know that if I go from where I am now to 100,000 followers, it's all organic. It's not because somebody just wanted to click, follow back. It's like, no, somebody saw content of mine and wants to hear my message on the regular, because I know what it takes, because I don't just follow anybody anymore. I used to follow back. It's like, no, man, no. I'm choosing my life and my message and my path. I'm not just going to follow you. So this is a perfect example. Being a coach at a gym, right? I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and someone would come train, and they'd be training for a week or two, and they'd follow me on Instagram because I'm their coach. And I just follow them back because I want to be a good coach, right? You know what happens? 90% of people or so stop training altogether. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a very difficult martial art to see through and level up and get all the way to black belt, right? Like, if there's this many white belts, there's this many blue belts, there's this many purple belts, there's this many brown belts, and there's, I think a black belt is like 1% of the 1% of people who train. And then how many people don't even get a white belt because they never get off the couch to start training? So anyway, I would just follow these people back. And then I started realizing, I'm like, yo, I haven't seen this dude in the gym training in 7 months. I don't need to know that he went and had an ice cream sundae with his girlfriend on a Saturday night while I'm scrolling through my Instagram. Unfollow. Like, what am I doing? Like, get to the gym, train, make a connection with me, have a reason for us to be socially interacting on this device. I'm not just doing it to do it anymore. Everything has a purpose in my life now. At least I'm trying. Maybe I shouldn't say everything, because everything encompasses this idea of like completion. I try and I strive to have purpose in everything I'm doing. And everything I'm doing, and the purpose, the baseline for it is self-growth, discipline, leveling up spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and being the best father and husband I can be. That's it. And man, the best man I can be. Because a man, you don't have to be a father or a husband. You can still be a man that will fight and protect and serve and kind of, do what's right in society. And right now, obviously, make no mistake about it, there's a reason why. I mean, come on. Toxic masculinity. Talk about word magic. There's nothing toxic about masculinity. There's nothing social about distancing. Alone together was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You'd see on the COVID lockdown, all this bullshit coming through, and then at the end, hashtag alone together. Really?
We had in Australia, we had staying apart keeps us together. That was ours.
What was it?
Staying apart keeps us together.
Bro.
That was what we had down there.
They are masters.
Yeah, I know.
At just the word magic, the repetition. They're master programmers. And it wasn't until I discovered Jason Christoff and this idea of subconscious versus conscious, right? Like, I've heard those words, but it was never laid out for me and described and repeated the way he always, I love that about him. He's always just repeating and coming back. And I used to be like, man, this is awesome. Because by the time it was like the 10th time I'm hearing it on the next podcast I'm listening to of his, now I'm laughing because I'm like, yeah, now I get it. It wasn't just like, I heard it for the first time. Liarrhea, one of my favorite words that I've ever heard is liarrhea. I always give him credit, but I use that word all the time now. They spray liarrhea left and right like it's going out of style. It's crazy.
They're still doing it now.
Yeah, they have a never-ending supply of liarrhea.
And I think there's more coming in the next few months too. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's, you got to be prepared on the daily. Every day is a new day, and the day's purpose is to do the things that are going to make you better in those 4 areas that we always talk about.
And then you won't be so reliant on these people when they do these things to us, or they try to. Your universe, your reality is so strong and so on point. You're not even focusing on what's going on with them and what they're trying to do, because you're so independent. You're not dependent. It's
a good point, man. The difference between being dependent and independent. Beautiful point. And nobody understand. Maybe not nobody. The masses, the majority of people don't understand that delineation. They don't understand to the extent in which they're dependent and programmed by these things, and their thoughts aren't their thoughts. Or maybe their thoughts are their thoughts, but their actions and behaviors won't be, because that's not what dictates their actions and behaviors. The subconscious does, and what was programmed into it. And obviously, in terms of self-sabotage and today's society, you're in Australia. I imagine it's not much different, but American programming right now is such, oh my God, just the worst form of self-sabotage you can imagine is what it's portrayed onto the populace. It's so big. I mean, and then to think about the extent to which that programming will control someone is so bad that the my team good, your team bad programming of politics, which they do through sports, we can get into that real quick a little bit, such that people are defending Joe Biden. People are defending Joe Biden. People are defending that they voted for this man. People are defending policy. People are saying, wow, people are rattling off bullshit stats like, yeah, but the economy and this is down or this number is up, or how many times do they have to mention Trump in defense of Biden? So I call it my team good, your team bad. And the perfect analogy for this or example is when you grow up in sports and you have a team. So right away there's teams, right? Flags, countries, teams, there's separation, my team good, your team bad. Because no one grows up in sports and is like, I like them too. They're the enemy. All the look at football, American football, the amount of wartime logic, word magic they use to describe.
Same here in Australia.
Right? It's crazy. So they program your mind that way. So it's my team good, your team bad. And then in terms of your ability to be an independent thinker, what happens is, let's say, what's a sport that you like or watch? Soccer, like football?
We have Australian rules football, and that's big here. And it's the same thing with your programming too. It's my team good, your team bad.
And so Australia, that like rugby or
it's like you could say it is, but it's like our own code of football. Yeah.
So take Australian rules football. There's a call from the ref. There's a penalty, right? And it's on your team. That's a bullshit call, ref.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Rewind the matrix. Take the exact same play scenario. It goes against the other team.
Same thing.
Good call, ref. No, that was a penalty, bro. So you can see where the cognitive dissonance starts and the my team bad, my team good, your team bad, where there's no independent, objective thought there. It benefited me. It's my bias to be, my team's good, so that's going to benefit me. And then you grow up with that in sports, and you sit in the stadium and you're drinking the beer and you're screaming, yeah. And that's what fucking adults do now with politics. It's insane. It's so pathetic.
I know.
And they're literally children They're children in adult bodies behaving like the child they were at a sports game, but about politics, about people who they don't even need to rule them and their life.
Spot on.
Unbelievable.
That's spot on, mate. Same here in Australia too. I reckon I'll finish with a couple of questions for you. First one being, if there are people listening to this and they're resonating with it and they're like, dude, this guy's got, like, it's just resonating with them, and we all have the content that does. If this is resonating with someone, what would be your advice for those people to start taking their first step towards becoming better?
So you want to start kind of thinking of the voice in your head like a game. So make it a game with yourself. Okay. Am I going to win or lose? And then, so it's a winning or losing, and it's a game. You know, there's no big deal if you lose. It's just a game. But you wake up with that idea of, okay, you know, am I going to win or lose? And then you say, well, what's the game? And so the game is, I want to be better. I want to be a better version of myself. And so then you say, okay, well, if I want to be a better version of myself, I need to kind of have some criteria. You know, what's my current version of myself? And if you kind of do that breakdown a little bit, you're always going to find the one thing that you know. You got to start kind of critiquing, right? You have to critique to tweak. And so it might be like, well, you know, I bought a gym membership, but I haven't been to the gym in a month. Okay, so there's an opportunity. Did I win today? Did I go to the gym? So you can play that game with your mind, winning or losing. That's kind of one thing that I do that worked with me, where I was like, wait a second, you know, I don't want to constantly be losing. I don't play a game to lose. I was an athlete. I was a competitor. Now, if that doesn't work for people because they might just say, well, no, that sounds bogus, or I didn't play sports or games. I'm not a game player. What do you mean win or lose? The one thing that they should or can start doing right away, the easiest thing, is just pick one thing to do, one simple task. It could be, I have clients write down one thing in the morning. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my life. I don't care what it is. Just pick one thing. And you start a consistent habit. And you just say to yourself, because then at least the negative of, I'm not doing this, is something of a positive. Man, you know what? I didn't write my gratitude journal today. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. Instead of, it's usually just on repeat, the record of, you know, why am I doing this to myself? I haven't been to the gym. It's things they're not doing anyway or haven't done it forever. Start a new habit, a small, easy one. Drink a glass of water when you wake up, but start programming the habit. So for me, what helped, like you said earlier, the cold showers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect way to start. Perfect way to start. You know what? No one likes sitting under cold water. No one. It's not fun. But guess what? That's a great way to start this game. Did you go take a cold shower today? Did before you get out of the shower, you turned all the hot water off and just let the cold water on, even for 2 seconds? Because if you start doing stuff like that, then you gain the momentum of like, well, wait a second. I stood under the cold water for 2 seconds yesterday. Today I can do 3 seconds. There's data there. There's data you can celebrate. There's growth you can analyze. There's purpose, right? It's not just, you're not just mindlessly going about your day. And then when you're falling asleep at night, the same record on repeat of what you could have, would have, should have, but didn't do. You know, the self-sabotaging thoughts of hate. Why did I eat this? And most people approach all of their kind of like modalities of trying to find this health in restrictions and things not to do, right? Like, oh, I'm on a diet. It's like, well, why are you on a diet? Well, I want to lose weight. Okay, well, do you want to lose weight and keep it off and be healthy, or are you just trying to lose weight? Because if you're just trying to lose weight, well, we know people that can literally just not eat for 3 days and they lose weight. That's not healthy. So what are you doing? You're restricting, you're not eating. So you want to pick things that work. Oh, today I'm going to choose to eat something healthier. I'm not going to say, well, I can't eat that because I'm on a diet. One thing, it can be one meal in your day, but it's a step in the right direction. You can then celebrate it tomorrow. Well, I did it yesterday. Why don't I do it today? Exactly. For me, that helped with the cold water plunge. So I'm now at like day 40 maybe 40. Today was my 40th day in a row of doing an ice bath for 10 and a half minutes. I certainly didn't start sitting in cold, freezing water for 10 and a half minutes when I started. No way. But the first time I did 10 minutes, the next day I was like, well, shit, I did 10 minutes yesterday. The water's not any colder. It's the same experience. Why would I not do 10 minutes today? And that has now turned into, well, why would I ever never, I will never not sit in that ice bath for 10 and a half minutes. And I'm never going to let a day happen where I don't go and do it, because there's been so many days now in a row. Like, why would I let this day be the day that I not do it? We don't think of habits. Do you think of the day that you don't urinate? No, because you do it every day. So think of your new habits like that. It's just something you have to start doing every day. So make the voice in your head be that of the game of self-growth. Did I win the game today? Where did I win the game? Not even not if I won. Where can I always win? Because everyone starts their day the same way. Their eyes open and they have all those hours until they go to sleep. There are infinite possibilities for you to choose growth. Just make it a choice. Make the game a choice. Look at things, make things black and white. Actually, that's probably, I'm always like asked, what's one thing you can do? And then I go off.
I love that.
It's a hard answer though, that one thing to do. But, sometimes people want that, right? They need an actionable step. Try and start making your daily behaviors black and white choices. And the black and white choices, the needle there of black or white is it's for my better self or it's for my same self and or worse self. That's a good one, actually. I use that a lot.
I love that.
Have the awareness, right? You need to have the awareness. Don't just go about your day. Make it an awareness of you're trying to be better. You're not hoping, you're not wishing, you're not waiting. It doesn't just happen. You're the one in the driver's seat. It's your mind controlling your body. It's your program. Make it a choice. Is this for or against?
Love it. That's a good way to finish, mate. That was an awesome chat. Thanks so much for jumping on, mate. That was great. Like, you got an awesome story, awesome message, and I wish nothing but the best for you. And I'd love to get you back on again. And hopefully, if you're going to join the podcast ranks, mate, I'd love to jump on yours if you think about making one as well. So.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to do things like this, and hopefully your viewers got something out of this. And Master Deadly on Instagram if you want to see.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Yep.
Yeah. So MASTA Deadly. That's my Instagram. Matty Denz on Facebook. You can look me up, or I'm sure maybe if you post this, you can have some or whatever.
Yeah, I'll post the links in the bottom.
Shoot me a DM and we can get a chat started. But thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
No worries, mate. Thanks for jumping on and then sharing your story. So that's the end of this episode. I thank everyone for tuning in and watching and listening wherever in the world you are, and hope you have an awesome day and you take Matty's advice on board and you create a better, healthier version of yourself. So thank you, Matty, and we'll end that right